In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly.
The time has come again. The champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victorious. So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on, bring it to me. Defend your
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Defend Your Movie. I am your host. I am one of your hosts, Sean Donnelly, joined by my awesome and blood-boiled co-host, Andy Fiore.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. That was like when a toddler gets mad. That's what it sounded like. Hi, everybody. And we're joined by a very funny guest today. Super funny comic. You know him from the Irish Goodbye podcast. Mike Feeney, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for doing it, buddy. Andy, we have a couple things to talk about with Andy. Andy's mad. You want to diffuse anything on the podcast? You're mad from an elevator?
Yeah, I had a bad... I was just trying to be polite on the elevator. And I relayed this to you guys before. I was coming down the elevator in a very busy office building, Sirius XM, where I worked during the day. And I was trying to be polite, and I stood to the side to let this woman who I know from my office, who on the surface I just don't care for.
Right.
Without really ever interacting with her, I go, I just know that we wouldn't get along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was confirmed of that suspicion because I stood to the side, and there's a crowded 5:30 elevator, and I was toward the front, but I was letting women come off and holding the door as a gentleman would.
Yeah, being nice.
And she was in the back, and she walks by me and pushes her hands. She goes, "You just go." And it just fucking got my blood boiling.
You know what? I wonder what was going on in her head. Because I always wonder why people do that. What does it matter for her?
Right.
The length that she went to, not just to be like, hey, thanks.
Totally.
All she had to do was go, oh,
Thank you.
thanks. Have a good night.
Because on the other hand, if I just walked out in front of her, I bet she's the type of person who would have been like, ugh, thanks a lot.
Right.
You know, like, give me a shitty answer to that,
You
too.
can't win, basically.
Exactly.
She's one of the
The tone is what would drive me crazy. The
Right.
just go, like holding that out, that's what would really...
it really got me.
I get into a lot of elevator snafus, so I really empathize with
You
what
do?
you got. Oh, yeah, all
Like
the time.
more than
I have a
normal
very
person?
strict code of, like, you know, like decency. When it's just like the same thing
That's
with...
all it takes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have the same thing. But
Yeah.
Elevators, I do the same thing where I'll hold the elevator. The door thing I have in regular from stores and stuff, like holding the door and not getting a thank you is a big deal.
Big
Oh, yeah.
deal.
Huge deal. Deal breaker. So for
Yeah, I'll drop a passive-aggressive, don't worry about it.
I go,
Yeah.
I say
Yeah,
you're
no
welcome.
problem.
I go,
You're welcome. Yeah, I throw that out there, too. I throw it in a tone, you're welcome. I throw that out there.
Yeah, that's justified. What
Right.
she did was like,
No,
she
yeah.
was poo-pooing on the politeness. She was poo-pooing politeness.
Yeah, she was poo-pooing politeness. But I feel better just seeing my pals here, and so
Yeah.
we're going to have a fun podcast, of which, so I saw one of our former Defend Your Movie topics. I saw Buster Scruggs today.
You
In
saw
the-
not
my
the
office.
movie again, the actual
I
Buster
saw
Scruggs
Tim Blake
in
Nelson.
the flesh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was very cool. They, I have a studio in my office at Sirius XM, and sometimes we loan it out to our friends if they need it. You know, some of the studios are all booked. And I came in, and then Tim Blake Nelson's just talking to my buddy there
That's crazy.
about chicken tacos. Apparently, he's this like world-renowned chef.
Is he really?
Yeah.
As like an actor and a chef, and he was like, "No, you got to brine the broth and do all that." I was
How did you handle it? Were you like, oh my God? Or did you just go like, hey, what's up?
No, I
Like,
just kind of walked in. I had a meeting to go to. I was just grabbing a notebook, so I was just like, "Hey, man, how you?" So
You're coming so dangerously close to knocking that water over every time you speak. It's
know
like,
what I'm doing.
It's terrifying to me. He keeps like coming within an inch of it every.
I feel like Tim
Move it
Blake
over.
Nelson, he feels like a guy who would have a very dimly lit library in his apartment.
oh yeah, I can see that. I
He's
can
a very
see
slow draw guy and
Yeah,
very
he was
cultured,
that. Very polite, very nice.
was he a very quiet guy? Probably.
Yeah, I mean, he was chatty, talkative, and there.
Oh, he was?
Swapping recipes.
So this was they were doing this on the radio or just in the hallway?
No, like you've been in my office.
Yeah, where
they
the
were just
shit-
like kind of chatting there.
Oh, that's so
yeah,
funny.
Yeah,
That's so funny. He's great.
Yeah.
He's like, I only follow his career. Like, he's known for being in Coen Brothers movies.
Coen Brothers movies. There's a crazy movie. Have you ever seen Wonderland? It's about John Holmes and the Wonderland murders.
No, he's in that too?
He's in that, and he plays like a real kind of like bad guy. And you've never kind of seen him like this before because he's usually like a real character actor. Like he's playing a character.
Yeah.
And this one, you're like, he's almost scary, but he's a great, beautiful, like,
He's
just
a
a
great
wonderful
character
actor. Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about character actors last night. I was talking with other comics about what would you rather? Would you rather be a movie star for a year? Or would you? I just come up with this now. Would you rather be a movie star for a year, like where you make? Think of what can you make in a year? 3 movies, maybe 3 movies.
Yeah.
All 3 are like just blockbuster hits, like just over $100 million,
Gotcha.
$200 million, whatever. You know, but after the year, just for the ways of Hollywood, you can't find work, or the work you're getting is just nonsense. You know?
Okay.
Actually, no. I should say you can't get hired because that makes it more of a stakes thing.
Okay.
So for a year that you're the biggest thing going, and then after a year nobody wants to touch you. Like it's crazy. Like you can't get hired.
Gotcha.
And you can't do certain jobs because it's too beneath you because you were such a big movie star for the year. Or be a well-respected character actor with steady work for 10 years.
I'll let Mike go first, our guest.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, of course, I'm going to pick the steady. You know what I mean? You got to pick.
Same.
You rather have a fishing pole than a fish. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you got to get.
Oh, thank you, Confucius.
Yeah, but also I was just trying to think of like character actors. So immediately I was like, would I rather be like Philip Seymour Hoffman or like Pierce Brosnan? I guess was like he had
that's
like
a good
that
one.
peak,
No,
and I
the
was like,
appeal of the question is this: like you can live this amazing life for a year,
Yeah.
or you can live the life of a character actor. You never get that. Like
I'd rather be Giamatti. You know what I mean? Like that's
Giamatti's he's kind of past character actor at this point because he's a household
maybe
name. He's a household name.
Maybe he's
but he
household.
was at one point. He kind of rose the ranks,
Right.
You know.
I mean, if you make 3 blockbusters in a year, you're probably set for life.
right.
So you probably could still live an awesome life.
Sure,
But you're just not
yeah.
in the, you know what I mean?
But, just
But
as
is it
far
for
as,
you?
like,
But your movie career's over is what you're saying.
your movie career's over, and like the respect factor's over.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a tough one.
you might be
might-
Megan Fox then,
Yeah?
because she had a quick flame out. She did Transformers. She did
She
that.
had like 10 years, probably, right? Or no, she probably right?
What?
Megan Fox.
Megan
maybe,
Fox.
well,
Yeah,
like, maybe 3
yeah,
years.
I'd
Yes,
say.
yeah. She did the Transformers, then she did that other movie where she just played again like a super hot chick. She was in everything, and then all of a sudden
Jennifer's
she was
Body,
gone.
I believe she was.
Was she in that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then people found out she had a weird thumb, and then it went all downhill.
She was in
That's why.
Well, that's one of the things I remember being this big controversy.
why we broke up.
That's why we broke up. She wasn't my type.
Yeah.
There we go. We did it, Alex. Then what episode?
A record time.
You know what episode that is? You know what episode? But he's dating. He's dating, and you know who that is? That's another thing. A sidebar. We all love Seinfeld. We do a Seinfeld reference every episode. We told Mike that the girl that dated Newman, and then he ended it. He ended it. Do you know who she is?
Hold on. Give me a second to picture her. Oh, yes. He just wasn't my... yeah, okay.
You know what movie is she from? Famous movie that we all know
I don't
and
think
love.
I know.
Oh, she's the girl that Bill Murray tricks in Groundhog Day. When he says, "What's your name?" and then we went to high school together. Who'd you have for science?
Oh, no
totally.
shit.
Same girl.
Wow.
And for years, I could not place who the fuck that girl was. And then finally, I did it. Like,
I like a really pretty face.
Yeah. Newman, you went out with Newman.
He's pure evil.
She's like, "Kiss me." And he's like, "I can't."
That's so-
There's more than meets the
He
eye.
Newman.
No, there's less.
He Newman.
He Newman. That's such a great line.
Yeah.
He Newman.
It's the best. It's so. He goes, "Bye, Jerry."
I think I would go... I would probably do the well-respected character actor over a long career, too.
So would I. I would
Yeah.
too. I guess that's probably the more appealing thing. I think, but I'm wondering. I think that's just how we are, and I think there are people that be like, no, I'd rather be a movie star for.
Sure, yeah.
Make it 2 years. I don't know.
But would you rather
be a year?
That's
Maybe
the same.
That's a good one.
Would you rather be like the comic who's in everything for 2 seconds?
It's a very
and is
similar
like,
question.
But it's kind of hack, or would you rather be the steady guy? It's like you want. I feel like if you're trying to be an actor, what you want is respect, right? So it's like
depends on what you want.
It's a very similar question.
Yeah.
But it's got to be fun for those 1 or 2 years to be like famous.
Oh my God.
Some people would probably almost prefer it. You know, you get your limelight and then
you get out.
And you're set for life. It's like there's a lot of people who just hate being in the spotlight, but they're actors. You know,
it depends if you like acting, you want to keep acting. But part of the question is you can't act.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You got to see Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, very cool.
And I feel like he has one of those careers. Like, think about it. Like, he's the kind of guy.
Exactly.
He's like, oh, I'm a well-respected character actor.
Totally.
And a chef.
Yeah.
They just get those extra
Great
things.
life. Great life.
Did you anything you watched this week?
I watched a movie called The Clove Hitch Killer, which I was just flipping around at home, and I saw a video on demand. It's got Dermot Mulroney. And
what year is it from?
This year.
Oh.
And really cool, like, suspense murder mystery thriller. I really enjoyed it. It's about this guy. A clove hitch is a type of knot. And this guy left like his calling card at every... he was like a serial killer in this small town, and he would leave a clove hitch with a rope. He would mark his victims, and then he would come back. It was almost like...
I liked when serial killers used to do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Leave a little calling card.
It was kind of a throwback movie.
Little charm,
Absolutely.
little charisma.
Mike went back to the politeness conversation. It's just straight up polite.
Yeah.
It's just old-fashioned
let the
politeness.
cops know.
If you're gonna murder somebody, leave a calling
Take the
card.
time.
Yeah. Put a little fucking, and a
Arts
little
and crafts
pride
into
into
it.
your work, would you?
It's just a case. What does it say? He goes, when you come into an apartment, you wipe off your wheels.
Yeah.
But
So
then
it was good, huh?
So 10 years goes by without there being a death, and until it happens again, and then there's a teenage boy starts to suspect his father might be the clove hitch killer.
That's interesting.
And that's all. A really cool movie. I enjoyed it very much.
That's really good.
And then I randomly caught Nobody's Fool from 1994 with Paul Newman, who I've just never seen it. And Paul Newman, Melanie Griffith, Bruce Willis is in it randomly.
Dan St. Germain, who's been on the podcast a couple of times, will ask me sometimes. He'll call me up and go, all right, do you think I act the most like Paul Newman from Road to Perdition or from Nobody's Fool? I'm like, neither.
so funny.
Neither, you fucking lunatic. I'm in the middle of watching something. I actually went and downloaded. I don't know why I have Prime on my phone to order stuff from Amazon. So I downloaded the Prime Video app. I just didn't have that on my Apple TV, and I recently got it. I'm like, oh my god, this is like
So many movies.
Yeah,
so many
great,
movies and so much. And Monk, they have Monk. I love Monk. I love Monk. People make fun of me, but I love it.
Danny Dratch.
Danny Dratch.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I started to watch Downsizing.
Oh, how was that? That was the movie where they get all little tiny baby boys.
What? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw it.
You saw it. Oh, you did see it.
We talked about this
it.
in one of what did you watch last week?
Yes, we
Is
did.
it worth it?
I started watching Downsizing, and you said you liked it for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm in like the middle of it right now.
Okay.
And I'll say what I like next week, but I'll say what I really think about it next week.
Okay.
Do you get the vibe that they were trying to be like a Charlie Kaufman type
Totally.
movie? But
100%.
Yeah, but he didn't write it. I have to look up who wrote it, but
I
he
don't
didn't
know.
write it or anything. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I watched. But and besides that, no movies really, just random. I didn't
watched
watch
a lot
TV.
of TV. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this week.
Big battle.
This is a great battle, and I love the ones where it's very clear cut. That's what we try to do every week, I think, where it's very clear cut. Like last week we did it was Andy versus Casey Balsham, and you both had your. And I was down the middle, so I could just kind of act as like a mediator, or like referee kind of thing. Like you guys both had your opinions. You both.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a staunch one of those
Yeah.
that I was into. So I love when it's clear cut. We like one better than the other, and this week is like that for us.
Yeah.
And it's 2-on-1, which kind of
Yeah,
sorry,
sorry, Mike.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, we'll
Do you
get
want
there.
to say, Andy, the movies that we're doing this
The
week?
matchup today is both con, I guess, heist genre. Michael Feeney will be taking on defending Catch Me If You Can, Steven Spielberg's 2002 film. And I guess the Defend Your Movie boys are my partner in crime. We are going to be defending 2001's Ocean 11, Steven Soderbergh.
Yes.
Here's my opening a statement.
Yeah,
here.
have at it.
I was going to ask you. You have the choice. And it's a 2-on-1. Would you like it to be? Do you want us to go first? Or do you want to go first? Opening statements.
I guess you guys go first. I just can't
No,
even.
go ahead.
I,
No,
can't,
go
I
ahead,
just
go
want
ahead.
to preface before anything by just saying,
Okay.
like, I can't even believe that this is an argument.
We
like,
get a
this
lot
is
like that. A
crazy.
lot of people come
this
in like-
is crazy to me. One is a pop song. That's what it is. One is a pop song, and the other is one of the fucking.
Is it though?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes, it is. It is
Wow.
just.
I know what you mean, and I like that terminology. I
do
like that he
too.
said that.
Yeah.
But
I don't think so.
I think what you meant to say is underrated.
It's not underrated. Listen, all right.
Well, give me. All right, first off, I'd like you to give it. Give me what you're talking. Say what you're talking about. Go ahead. Do your
Catch
opening
Me If You Can. First off, one of my all-time favorite movies. I think that now
It's in
that
your top 5.
it might be actually. It's certainly top 10. But it might be top 5. But here's what I would say is that if you want to just talk about like a movie that is got the funny, the dramatic, the thrilling, a great payoff at the end, and also Catch Me If You Can has an equal amount of very great actors playing cameos in that movie that do it better than Ocean's 11, where Ocean's 11, and again, I like Ocean's 11, but if we're comparing them, it is like the movie, the Catch Me If You Can, everybody is fucking great in it. Ocean's 11, it seems just like, and guess who else we got? Here's another celebrity. It seems like one of those holiday movies that comes out with all the it's like there's no... The payoff in Ocean's 11, the ending is terrific. That the last 30 minutes of that movie are great, but it's a lot to get. There's some slow parts in there.
Really?
I mean-
Very interesting take.
No. I don't know what you're
Because
talking about.
here's what happens a lot of times with us is it's hard to denigrate a film. I like Catch Me If You Can too, but I like Ocean's 11 better. So it's hard
but
for
it's
me
just a
sometimes to
fun-
say negative
my-
things about
exactly.
Catch Me If You
My
Can.
short argument I can give the kind of like that really might make you think differently about Ocean's 11.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than the original. It's
Yes.
one of the only. Think about what other movie can you say is better? The remake is better than the original, and it's. I think
Small group.
I don't even what is it? Would it be-
Nothing comes to my mind
They
immediately,
only-
which
the
proves your
ones that
point.
the ones they change up, maybe the ones that they change the title, or they whatever. Sometimes that happens. Like maybe you think I Am Legend is better than Omega Man, but Omega Man did better than that. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're based loosely on the same thing, but. That really rises the stock of this movie for me, and I also think like I know what you mean by pop song because it was like it had a cool soundtrack,
a
gorgeous, cool
blockbuster.
actors, the
Yeah.
blockbuster. It's a cool. It's a fun plot. There's a wink in there, but they both have winks. They both wink to you, and when it comes to it, I think it doesn't get its due because of at the time this came out. It doesn't get its due to be better than it is. Like it's shot pretty cool. Think about how hard it is. Like to shoot that stuff without revealing too much info. Like the editing and the shooting of that movie are very hard to do. And there's little visual clues they give you along the way. Like even the thing I'm thinking of the end of Ocean's 11 when they show you're supposed to think they're just in a random car or truck.
Yeah,
They show the
yeah.
air freshener, and that turns out to be they're in the SWAT vehicle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's little stuff like that. And I know what you mean. Like, it's not the greatest movie of all time.
Right.
But Catch Me If You Can is Spielberg. And
Yes.
it's not the best Spielberg.
No, it's not.
So, and I know we're not comparing Spielberg movies here, but I'm
Right.
just saying, like, it's actually one of, like, it wouldn't be considered one of his hits, I don't think. I think it's one of his misses.
I think it's not a miss, and also it won awards. I mean, that also. I bet if you stack up nominations versus wins, I bet that I don't know this for
What
a
did it win?
fact.
Do you remember?
I don't think
I
it-
bet Catch Me. I know Christopher Walken won for Best Supporting Actor.
I don't think
won
he
an
won.
Oscar.
I think he was nominated.
I don't think
nominated?
it won anything, yeah. But what happens sometimes with those movies...
Alex will check.
Yeah.
Can you check, Alex, if you don't mind?
Here's my thing. You have in Catch Me If You Can, you have two of like the best actors from their respective generations both like pitted against each other in the movie in an incredible. It is like funny. It's punchy. It's got heart. It's like sad, and it's got like everything that you'd want in a movie. The scores.
Everything I can check off for Ocean's 11.
The score. I mean, who is better at acting in Ocean's 11 than Tom Hanks and or Leonardo DiCaprio? I'd take either of them over
Clooney
anyone.
Clooney?
He's a what?
He was nominated, Christopher Walken.
but not one.
No, he didn't win, but
Yeah,
he was nominated.
that's what
Okay,
No.
but the John Williams.
But hold on, Alex. Is that the only award it was nominated for? It might have been
That was
nominated
the
for.
only award it was nominated for.
It
It wasn't even nominated for Best Picture.
John Williams won. John Williams made the score
Well,
of that thing.
Spielberg. He's gonna.
But again, it's a great score. So you're talking like pacing and stuff, like the score of the movie.
Pacing. I actually have an argument with pacing. Catch Me If You Can drags at points.
Yeah.
Well, because
I
again,
think it drags
that
way more
opening
than-
title sequence, you go, we're 10 minutes in here of the little fucking cartoon
That's a
guy
great point.
running around.
And you brought up
dipsy
pacing.
doodling.
You brought up pacing.
Because also Ocean's 11,
Had
it's
great
it's a,
pacing.
It's but Ocean's 11 again, it's a pop song. It's like here's this. It's a single. It's
They're
$2.45.
building
You know
a
what
con.
I'm saying? It's not.
Here's another thing. It also depends on what you like better. They're building a con where you kind of know, oh, this is going to be great, and then you get a huge payoff. You get the huge reveal of how they did it, and then they twist it on you again and go, oh, we did it like this. And then there's another twist there, and they'll go, no, we did it like this.
But that's just lying to you. That's just going,
No,
hey,
that's a con. That's a con. It's a heist.
It's called a twist.
It's a bank
Yeah, but
heist.
it's like,
a
we were
bank
on
heist is lying. They're criminals.
Yeah.
They're
I
going to
only
lie.
trust movies that are truthful.
They're
to me.
not good
No,
guys.
Mike's like, I only watch instructional videos.
Yeah, I just don't get movies where they're like, okay, here's the heist that we're gonna do, and then they're like, ha ha ha, we did it this way, we
For
tricked you.
fun, for entertainment.
I know, I get, and again,
Here's the
I
other
need to
thing, though.
preface this. I like Ocean's 11. I think it's a great film, but again, if you're comparing the two, to me, it's not even.
But I'm saying what's a more fun movie is waiting for that and knowing that, whereas Catch Me If You Can is almost a biopic where you're seeing how he does everything
It is a
throughout the whole
biopic, yeah.
thing.
It is a biopic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, even
But
like,
yeah, I know
a
it-
true to tale biopic. I think a lot of things were embellished, or maybe
I also think that
they embellished like the whole thing with his dad. His dad, like, he never saw him again after like a certain point. So like they embellished that.
No, but he
for the
said, but
movie.
Frank Abagnale, the guy who really was the character Leo was based off, said that the movie's like almost is like a little more than 80% true, and then a couple other things he made them change, and then other parts he was just
So
like,
they're
yeah.
lying to you. You admit it.
Yeah. But they didn't go ha ha ha. Here it is. But
Yeah,
so,
they did.
in
In
a
a
way,
way, that's exactly what they did.
How?
By embellishing like a story for the relationship between Walken and DiCaprio.
I love how that's part of Mike's discussion. He just goes, all these movies, they're lying to me all the time.
They're lying through your teeth. Here's the thing.
You got to make a good movie,
in the
entertaining
most-
movie. I get why they did it.
In the most
Like,
emotional.
I went to see Jurassic Park. There's no dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs all of a sudden.
Island, not real. I will say this. So here's the thing: in the most moments of like, so you're going to take like emotional highs and lows, right? So let's say in the moment of like maybe the most like heartfelt moments, if you compare George Clooney's thing with Julia Roberts versus pretty much any scene with Leo and his dad, Leo and Tom Hanks when he tells him that his dad's dead on the plane, that Catch Me If You Can wins for the emotional victories of that. If you want to go by like this is the coolest scene because of like the actual heist itself, then yes, then that Ocean's 11 wins.
I give you that one.
But if you want to talk funny too, it's like that movie is like Ocean's 11 is more like a smarmy, like like we're kind of like a little arrogant, we're doing a little couple funny things. Fucking Catch Me If You Can is really fucking funny. Like Tom Hanks is great in it.
Here you go.
Christopher
I'm going to say
Walken.
two things to knock your movie down a little bit. One is the Amy Adams. That's Amy Adams.
Amy Adams
That
makes a
storyline,
terrific.
boring. That's one of the
Boring.
most boring parts of that movie.
And unnecessary.
Totally unnecessary. There had to have been more interesting stuff they could have done. And secondly, Christopher Walken, great actor, but too offbeat for how endearing that part was supposed to be.
Agreed.
It should have been a much, like when those emotional scenes happen, I don't feel it as much as you would have felt it with 15 other character actors or 15 other guys in that role. They got a really good, like, to speak back to character
You're
actors.
100% right, because I watched, he gives this great speech about the mouse rising to the but
Yeah, you don't give a shit.
You see it through the walk-in of is a mouse.
Yeah.
And you can't get by like
you
the
can't
walk-in
not hear
of
the
it.
impression of it.
Yeah.
You know.
There you go. So that's where this movie fell short. That's why it's not like this. It's
So
not
Christopher
this featured,
Walken is the reason that you're saying it's not as good of.
I just said the Amy
Just a
Adams
part.
plotline is partially boring, and also you're talking about the dad 15 times. That's a big part of the movie.
Jennifer Gardner was super hot in that scene that she
She's super
shot.
hot.
Super hot. Yes.
Martin Sheen, I thought was good.
Hook and the
Even
Hooker.
Elizabeth Banks even had a good. They all had like there was a lot of cameos in that from like successful.
Well, you can't talk ensemble versus Ocean's
Well, but
11
what I'm saying
ensemble.
is the ensemble is the reason that Ocean's 11 people would, I feel like, knee jerk just be like, that's a good movie because it's got the thing. But like Ocean's,
But it's actually a good movie
Catch
on
Me-
top of
Yeah.
it.
yeah, but
It's funny. It's a great script. They both have good scripts.
Catch Me If You Can is, I mean, come on. I mean, that script is just beat for beat. Everything about it, man. It's like
I feel the
not,
same
though.
way. Yeah, I
It's
disagree.
not because what you're saying beat for beat would be that it's succinct. It's blah 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 blah. It's over before you know it. It's not. It does drag.
It's a long movie. It's too long.
We said the parts I said that dragged were the Amy Adams and then also
Right from the beginning, the title sequence.
and
It's
even-
way too long. It's like a title sequence and then it goes to a commercial.
And the
before you
end-
even
Yeah, but
start
if
the-
you're paying John Williams all that money, you're going to get your money's worth in that intro
No,
scene of
he's
of his
fucking title
score.
card.
And also, that score is terrific.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
it
score
is
is terrific.
John Williams.
But
of course.
that's the Spielberg quality of whatever it is. But the score for Ocean's 11 is great too. The soundtrack on that.
Score you got to give to Catch Me If You Can. Now
I'll give it to Catch Me If You Can. on
it's
that one.
Yeah.
Here's a couple weird, cool things that I found out about this movie.
I
though.
like how Feeney came prepared with
I
notes.
got notes.
Very
baby.
few guests do that.
Number one, James Gandolfini was supposed to be Tom Hanks, and the only it was supposed to play Tom Hanks' character. The only reason that he didn't was because Leo had to push back production a few weeks because they had to do pickup shots for Gangs of New York, and then Gandolfini couldn't do it because he had to do Sopranos. So then they wanted what's his name to be instead of Leo.
All right, yeah, but these are things that don't.
I think it's just a
That's
fun
interesting.
thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting. It's not making
I
my
don't
point.
think Gandolfini. I don't think that would have been a good.
I don't
role.
think so either.
No.
And they also wanted
Spielberg wasn't, I
And
think,
I
originally
love,
signed on to
I
direct
love
it.
Gandolfini. What?
Yeah.
I don't think Spielberg was actually originally supposed to direct it either.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think there was a few.
Oh, there
directors
wasn't.
Before.
Yeah, he only wanted to be a producer.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a couple different people.
You know
and
what?
then
You could go out and say is that the only reason that it's a good movie, not a great movie, is because of Spielberg.
No, it's because of
all the
Leonardo
Spielberg
DiCaprio and
factors.
Tom Hanks. It's because of those two.
But
Their
is it
chemistry is great.
That mouse swam so hard to the top. Gandolfini giving us
Tony
his
Soprano.
Yeah. Knock, knock. Go fuck it. Go fuck yourself. A weird fun thing. I don't know if you guys know this part, but the guy who Leo plays actually has a cameo in the movie.
Yes, I did know Frank Abagnale
he arrests
appeared.
him in that when he gets in France. Yeah.
And also, that's another thing. Like, I know it's a true story, but you have like it's the bebop in '60s, and at the end, it's like, oh, he might die on the floor of this prison in France. It's like, wow, you went real dark, real quick.
Yeah.
And I get that happens in movies, so I'm not gonna knock it fully for that, but like. It's a little bit disjointed when you see that part. I know that's just how and there's kind of the cool scene when he's just dragging himself down the hallway and they're all cheering for him.
Yeah.
And he's like just almost dead.
That scene where the first time Tom Hanks and Leo interact, where he throws him the wallet and he he's caught, he just goes like, "We've already been here, FBI," and he throws him the wallet and he fucking doesn't check that wallet. You're watching that scene like ripping your hair out, just being like, "Oh
that's a
my
great
god!"
scene.
And then all of a sudden, and then later on, he's like, "How did you know I wouldn't look in the wallet?" And he's like, "People only know what you tell them." And it's like just things like those little seems like oversimplified, little quips, but they're actually pretty deep little lines where you're like, oh fuck. The same thing with him being like, why do people watch the Yankees? Why do the Yankees always win? People can't take their eyes off the pinstripes.
Right.
Like little things that you're like, it's a quotable movie.
I'll tell you, one other thing I want to say, and as far as in general about both movies, the reason I like Ocean's 11 better is because Ocean's 11 is naturally a cool movie. Clooney's a cool guy.
Yeah, Brad Pitt's a cool dude.
Catch Me If You Can was trying to create cool. Like, I think that the time period, the outfit, everything.
Yeah, I don't
they were
know if
trying
that
to
guy's that
See,
cool in real life.
I feel the opposite. I feel like Clooney is cool on his own, and they just put him and Brad Pitt together because they were the two cool, most popular people at the time, and just goes, "This'll sell a bunch of movies."
No,
I thought
you
no,
were talking
it's-
about chemistry.
I thought
Yeah.
chemistry. I thought him and Brad Pitt had chemistry. I thought him and Julia Roberts had zero chemistry.
Well, Julie,
I don't
Julia
agree with
Roberts
that.
kind of an overrated actress to me. I
But
also
you
saw it today.
believed in that movie, like him and George Clooney, her and George Clooney.
Sure.
Were, I was like,
As a
did buy
divorced
into
couple,
it.
yeah, totally.
That's a good point. They're not supposed to have chemistry,
Right.
At first, and I think.
oh, that's a fucking. that was a real stress. Well, they
right.
can't get along because they're divorced.
But it didn't
No,
pop
there's
out
supposed
to
to
me.
be tension.
yeah.
Like the thing I brought up about Walken, like seeing a comedian doing the impression as he's telling that story, that mouse story. I think that's for real. I mean, it happens. I didn't notice bad chemistry between. Maybe it wasn't the greatest chemistry in the world,
Right.
But I didn't notice bad chemistry between her and Clooney in the movie. Like it wasn't like it doesn't
Right.
stop you and go.
Yeah, you go,
"Whoa,
oh, come
what's
on.
this?"
Now I'm walking out of the theater.
Yeah.
I also think in general it's kind of hard to compare these movies because even though they're both kind of con man movies, they are like very different movies.
They're
Yeah,
different
I mean, we
movies,
try and find something, you know.
But I
Yeah,
think
that's
you
what
have
we do
one.
here.
I think they're kind of brought down to the same level because you have one that's made by a world class director. Well, the other one's made by who? did it?
Soderbergh.
Soderbergh did it. Oh yeah, fuck it. But yeah, they're both world class directors. But what I'm saying is, you have Spielberg on one, and it's Spielberg not at his best, and it's Soderbergh at one of his best.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings the playing field closer together. So it does make them closer movies, and I think one of them came off more effortlessly than the other one. I think the other one. I think when you look at flaws, I think Catch Me If You Can has way more flaws than Ocean's 11. It's
Agreed.
a more succinct
And
movie.
Don't you just...
I'm interested what the
Uh,
budget is between both of them.
Alex looked it up, but here's... let's not get to this point.
That could help our argument. 'cause I'm not
might.
sure- yeah.
But you were talking about casting in Catch Me If You Can. I don't know if it was casted perfectly. Every guy in Ocean's 11 I love in their role.
Right.
Like you love who plays
Don
Ruben?
Cheadle?
Not
not
Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
Elliot
yeah.
Gould. Like he's great as Ruben.
Hold on, Alex wants to say something. I'm sorry.
The budget $85 million for Ocean's 11, and then for Catch Me If You Can, $52 million.
Also,
well,
which is
you
weird.
got a bigger-
Really?
yeah, but you're
fun-
playing off.
fun-
Well, you're paying a lot of
stunts
big
and-
stars.
Oh, so now it doesn't hurt your argument.
No, I don't think it does.
And also,
I mean, what's the point?
I'll tell you this. Ironically, it's $52 million. They shot Catch Me If You Can in 52 days. The whole thing in 52 days.
Really?
Yeah, that's not a long time to shoot a movie like that.
And also, Ocean's 11 was in one location.
Ocean's 11? 11 days.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing,
That's
too.
why.
That's why it's called Ocean's 11.
If
It was
you
by
have-
the ocean, and it was.
if you come from a family of a household where there was divorce, those scenes of like, you know, the last scene of him like at the window looking at the family inside, him thinking
All right,
about
but
his
you're
family.
putting in variables.
But I'm putting in emotional moments of the
attachment for you,
film.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that.
I get you.
That movie had
Well-
like emotional. It grabbed you while also being funny, while also being dramatic and thrilling, and it had every fucking touch of the rainbow.
Sean comes from a family of grifters.
Yeah.
Pull off some killer heists.
But back to my
I
point
come
is
from. I'm a Clooney, basically.
Yeah.
everybody serves their role well in Catch Me If You Can. All with like a little flair of humor too, which is it's this great camaraderie between everybody. You got the nerdy guy, you got the little Asian guy who's an acrobat, you got Carl Reiner who plays a great underrated role.
Yeah.
Which is very humorous too. For Ocean's 11, I don't think you're giving enough credit for how funny it is.
And
A
also,
great ensemble,
how
like
much, it's a great,
Casey Affleck and James Caan's kid. What's his name?
I like them
Scott
together.
Conn.
Scott Conn.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do an ensemble, and they sprinkle. It's almost like when you think about the Marvel movies and how great they put in each character and the Avengers, and like they don't give you too much or how much. Hey, it's just enough Hulk. It's just enough this. That's what Ocean's 11 was.
Yeah,
It was
it's
just
perfect,
enough of
perfect
everybody.
temperature.
Just enough of everybody. But again, that's why it's so, I feel like, fundamentally difficult to argue these two, because I think Ocean's 11 might be like one of the better ensemble movies like ever in terms of like
Sure.
where they have that many great people in one thing. But again, it's like because that's not Catch Me If You Can is the Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio vehicle, and then everybody else is sprinkled in. Like Martin Sheen has a great arc in that, where he plays Amy Adams' dad and stuff like that. Like
has a great arc.
I think he has a pretty good arc. He co-
Martin Sheen?
Yeah,
I mean,
he plays
No,
Amy
he
Adams'
plays
dad. He's
Bear.
like a dick who's like that, but he plays that like Southern like lawyer with the seersucker thing
Even
to like a
that.
doctor or whatever it is.
Serviceable.
I mean, I'm sorry. Jet Li is really the one that brings it over the top.
It's not Jet Li.
It's not Jet Li. Jackie Chan. Who is it? I need
racist.
Quick, I need an Asian guy.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Charlie Chan. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's dead.
It's just Charlie.
Martin Sheen. No, he's not. It's not that standout. In
It's
this thing.
serviceable.
Martin, when you think of Martin Sheen, you think of him being like Kennedy and like being.
Apocalypse
But what
Now.
I'm saying, he
Yeah.
plays, like you said, about playing your
Even though
role.
it's lesser
He
than
plays
Full
his
Metal
role to a great extent, where he's like he's background. He's not trying to fight for.
I can say that about every single actor in Ocean's 11.
Go on.
You know, like just to prove your to a bigger cast, they all do their jobs perfectly. But I wouldn't call it a great story arc.
But I also don't think that Brad Pitt and George Clooney. You would agree those are the two stars of the movie,
Yeah,
right?
Clooney's Danny Oceans. It's his.
So basically,
it's his
you're
crew. It's
comparing
Danny Ocean's 11.
Yeah, so you're comparing Clooney and Pitt to Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio. That's really what I'm. That's what if that's what it
No,
comes
yeah,
down to.
And I think that.
I think it's.
If you all right, let's do that then. Just take it down to that. It's one of the
Who would you
best
rather
things
have?
Clooney's done. It's not one of the best. It's not in the top 3 of things that Tom Hanks has done.
Even if
Right.
that's true, I'd still take Tom Hanks over George Clooney. Even if that's
I
Tom
don't know,
Hanks'
man. I love a lot of
fifth
Clooney.
best-
'Cause, like, all right,
Michael Clayton, such a.
Oh God, you kidding me?
So now you're
Michael
wait a
Clayton.
minute.
Clooney's up there, man.
Clooney's
You
up
think
there, dude.
Clooney's a better
Clooney's
actor?
under-
you don't think
Clooney's
Clooney's a better
underrated?
actor than Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks does such paint by numbers garbage
Here's
a lot of the
You
times.
Castaway, he doesn't even talk for like an hour and a half.
Castaway.
Here's the thing about
dismiss
here's the
that.
thing. Here's the thing about Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, and I talked about this the other day too. That it kind of fits into that movie star thing where when you watch both of them, when you're watching them, you're thinking, oh, it's Clooney. They've ceased to be characters anymore
Right.
in a lot of things, and they're both fantastic. But I think when I think of movie star, maybe because I grew up on Tom Hanks and I saw him, I saw his when he was a comedy guy and then
Bosom
he
Buddies
was
and
Bosom
shit,
Buddies
yeah.
and shit like that. Maybe that's why it's different. And also about Clooney too, because I used to watch it on ER, and the comedy, and then
Yeah.
ER, the
Dusk
television
Till
show.
Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn, yeah.
ER, I remember him in ER.
Clooney has a much cooler fucking vibe.
But it's
to
not
him.
about cool, it's about acting. Who's a better actor? Dude, he plays
I
one
don't
note.
think-
I'm cool
I
guy.
think Clooney gets a lot of shit for no reason. I think he's thought of as a bad actor, and he's not a bad actor.
It's not that he's a bad
Great.
actor. He's one note. I am the cool doctor in ER. I am the cool fucking heist guy in Ocean's 11. He's the cool whatever in every movie.
No,
Brad
he's
Pitt
not
is,
one
I
note.
am the pretty guy who is eating in every scene. That's my fun quip in Ocean's 11.
Well, all
I'm
right,
eating in every
Snatch,
scene.
he's great. He plays a fucking Irish gypsy.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And it's great.
And he
it's
never
great
got
role.
shit on for his accent. You know how hard that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very hard.
So, basically, I think when it comes to those guys, I think you have two. I don't know, you have Tom Hanks who's like, not that you want to say he's slumming it. It's like, it's not one of his, Tom Hanks is in these huge fucking movies. Clooney,
And that's kind of all he does. You know what I mean?
I think Leo is better than, especially at even top 3 of let's say their top 3 best films. Leo's top 3 is like, for me, just miles above Ocean's better than Brad Pitt in his top 3.
I'll say this about, one more thing about Clooney. Michael Clayton, him and
One of my
Michael Clayton,
favorite movies ever.
I would put that up against any Tom
Agreed.
Hanks.
Agreed.
Any Tom
Agreed.
Hanks fucking movie.
Toy
You wanna take
Story?
You want to take Philadelphia versus Clayton? Clayton, dude. It's so underrated.
It's
so
so good.
fucking good. It's so subtle. That's what I'm saying. You're dealing with these guys like even you think they're doing one note and they're not. Like the guy's a good actor.
You're forgetting Punchline.
I remember Punchline. Punchline I used to love. Me and my sisters used to watch it all the time. So that's the thing. Like I think it's not, to me it's not one note with Clooney. I think it's a guy who's a huge worldwide movie star that got to keep a little bit of his street cred. I think Tom Hanks became I don't want to say punchline. Speaking of punchlines, not a punchline, but like people are like, I love Tom Hanks because he's like Tom Hanks.
You love Tom Hanks.
You love Tom Hanks. Clooney, it's like, I guess people love Clooney for Clooney as well, but like, I don't know. I just think that he keeps that. He keeps
Michael
it on
Clayton
street
sold
level a little bit
me
more.
on Clooney. I was like, he's legit.
A lot of
He's
people.
legit.
I also, again, I like George Clooney. I'm just taking him down
Oh,
for
brother,
my
why
argument.
brother, why art thou? That doesn't show fucking range.
There
Like,
you go.
Wasn't he the cool
Absolutely.
guy in that though?
No, he's
The
he's
cool
like
prisoner
he's,
guy?
he's southern. He's like a southern.
But he's the coolest of the group.
Oh,
So, you know what I'm saying?
No,
he's the cool
not.
guy.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
You don't think so?
He's a fool. He's supposed to be a fool.
But
And
the cool fool.
No, he's not. They know. They know that he's an idiot.
he's like a fast talking. He's again kind of a con, like a fast talking
he's
criminal.
supposed to be a goof. It's supposed to be like a goof.
I've never you could Clooney Coen Brothers movies against Hanks Coen Brothers movies.
Oh, that doesn't even.
Not even close.
You're telling me body of work, you'd rather take Clooney and Pitt over Hanks and Leonardo
levels of
DiCaprio.
respect.
I have a whole. You want to talk
You
about
haven't
DiCaprio?
even talked about Leo or Brad Pitt. You're sticking on the Clooney thing because of
If
the
we
Michael
talk about
Clayton.
DiCaprio, man, I'm sorry to say,
don't,
and a lot of
Yeah.
Don't.
He's overrated.
Fucking don't.
A lot of
Are you
people-
kidding me?
dude. I'm not gonna say he's bad. He's not bad. He's not bad.
Of course he's not bad.
Well, Mike, I'll tell you this right now. What the experiment of Leonardo DiCaprio did not pan out. A lot of people don't want to talk about this, but DiCaprio wants to be a Clooney. He wants to be that guy, and he never was going to because it's just the youthfulness of that guy. Like he wants to be a De Niro. He wants to be, but he doesn't have that
It's
edge.
off.
That what?
It's off.
It's off. He comes off like you know how you look young and you act young. And all
Yeah.
that kind of, like he has that to him. Like there's so much youthfulness, even him being like 40 something at this
And
point.
I hate to say it, he's still. And you might say this about Brad Pitt, but I don't think it applies. He's almost just too pretty. Like
Yeah,
he's
you
too
can't.
pretty
You
to be a
cannot
fucking
possibly make that argument and not. Yeah,
no, but
Brad Pitt
don't you buy?
immediately
But don't you
cancels.
buy Brad Pitt and Snatch? Is like you don't buy.
Snatch is maybe
Gangs
the
of New
only
York.
movie you buy him in. I don't buy him in Troy. He's just a fucking Adonis
you
looking
buy
guy.
movie.
Yeah, but also it's like if anything from What's Eating Gilbert Grape to fucking Wolf of Wall Street, every fucking thing that Leonardo, The Revenant, everything that he's done, with the exception of maybe like the only Leo
Revenant's
movie
good.
that I was like,
No,
this
I think it's changing now. I will put that as an addendum on my statement.
Okay, I like that.
I think the older he gets, the better he
That
will
will
get.
happen, I think.
That will happen. Revenant, you're right, but Revenant is the grittiest thing the guy's ever done. Wolf of Wall Street, he's a slickster stock guy, so he still has his young hot face because that's what the guy kind of looked like. That he was like this, Long Island, scumbag.
yeah, of course.
So, but when it comes to Leonardo DiCaprio, and this helps our argument. Leonardo DiCaprio, he wants to grow up. That's what it is. That's why you see him on those boats and he's fucking 40 pounds overweight because he's trying to be like, I'm not a pretty boy. I'm not a pretty boy.
But he is
a pretty boy.
But he did that with his career. That's why he stopped after Titanic and kind of fucking said no to 1,000 offers because he started going into other shit after. That's
Sure.
what he was doing. And like I wasn't a
But
fan
he
of.
still can't shake it. He's
Great
not
Gatsby.
shaking it.
Ugh.
Well, yeah.
Well, Gatsby.
that's-
Gatsby
we
is
can
one of
talk
my
about that.
most hated movies of all time.
Well, we should do a whole episode
Jay-Z-
based on how Baz Luhrmann fucking sucks.
Yeah, and Jay-Z is doing the soundtrack. They're like dancing to Jay-Z.
Yeah,
I was like,
come
can you
on.
at least put a
Wow.
fucking music that fits with the time
Well,
in there?
we have to suspend disbelief because it's Baz Luhrmann, but it's like Romeo and
Hated
Juliet.
it.
It's just
Yeah.
it's, like,
Hated it.
it's a play.
Hated it.
Hated it. Yeah, it's basically you know what it is. It's just the parade, the Halloween parade in New York, West Village. That's basically every movie that Baz Luhrmann does.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of costumes and shit. You know?
Basketball Diaries was great. He made
I love
but
Basketball Diaries.
But Basketball Diaries, what does he play?
But he was a kid. But he
He's
was
a high
kid.
schooler.
What I'm saying
Yeah.
is he's always been a good actor. Whether he
No.
got typecast, and he's also getting better as an actor as he's aging. So like he is.
But why is that, Mike? You have to think of it that way. The reason he's getting better is because you're believing that he's these people. Because
Yeah,
he's
like
getting
did you believe he
grittier.
was Howard Hughes? Like in that?
No, The
like,
Aviator
no.
is not one of my favorite films that he's done. But also, like, I've never like Brad Pitt is not getting better as an actor as he ages.
Yeah, you do. Brad Pitt is a wildly underrated good actor.
And we're not saying whether he's a good actor. We're saying if he's better than Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's cannot.
apples and oranges to me.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Out
One's
of
an
those
actor.
two- yeah, but Brad Pitt kind of stayed. Also, Brad Pitt had the advantage of like he aged better. Like even Clooney, Clooney, he got better when he got older as well.
Clooney's been old.
When you
Clooney's
see him on Facts of Life, he looks weird and he's like
Facts of Life. I said
But when he
Philly Ties
broke
earlier,
out
yeah.
in ER, he already started having gray hair then. Like,
Right.
That was like he was like an old young guy. He's always had that look. So he's aged
but he
beautifully.
still had, and I hate to say it like this, but it's like this man factor. It sounds like I'm hitting
No,
on George
that's-
Clooney when I said it. But like it's like this thing of like like, you know, you think of like the guys who are like, oh, that's a real guy's guy or whatever. Like that's what Leonardo DiCaprio has been wanting for 25 years, and the guy is just not coming through. But people, he's gorgeous. He's a good-looking dude. He is a really good actor. Don't get me wrong.
Do you like Leonardo DiCaprio movies better than Brad Pitt movies?
Yeah, I can't think. I'm trying to think of a Brad Pitt movie that I like better than Leonardo
Seven.
DiCaprio.
Seven.
Inglourious Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards, I don't like Brad Pitt.
No.
In that. I don't like Brad Pitt.
Yeah, that seemed like just let's get a big star and shoehorn him in. I didn't feel like he was.
World
great
War
in
Z.
that.
It's a pretty good
World
movie.
War Z is great, but that's kind of regular. He just acts regular in that.
Yeah, that's an action. That's just like an action
Fight Club.
blockbuster. Fight Club is like, I say that, but I also think Edward Norton. Like,
Well, it's Ed Norton's movie.
I was gonna say it's Edward Norton movie that Brad Pitt like is made better by Edward Norton, because I think Edward Norton is a far superior actor to Brad Pitt.
I think Ed Norton's a better actor.
Again, if you're asking me whose body do I want and who do I want to look like, if you're asking me between Tom Hanks and DiCaprio, I want fucking Brad
Run
Pitt's
After
body
Reading.
now, and I want to look like George Clooney when I get older. But if you're asking me who's the better actor, it's like I think Tom Hanks is better than both of them, and I think Leonardo DiCaprio
I like
is better than
Brad
both
Pitt
of
better
them.
than Leonardo DiCaprio. That's me.
That is you. That is just you.
But if you put the movies against each other, I would rather watch the Brad Pitt movies than the Leonardo. Like if you list them, I'd
Yeah,
rather watch
totally.
them. Like Wolf of Wall Street, I like a lot. You know,
Wolf of Wall
But then
Street,
I look
Gangs
at
of
Wolf
New
of Wall
York.
Street for what it is,
Yeah,
which
but
is
I
like
like-
it's a Long Island stocks Goodfellas. That missed the mark on a lot of things. Like you're trying to recreate this magic that only happens every so often. And like even if you like now you just start liking things for elements of it. Like even Buster Scruggs, we didn't like every little bit of it,
Right.
but you like it for like certain things that just blow you away about the movie. And that's like Catch Me If You Can, like what you liked it for. The score, you kept going the score. You have these guys in it, they're legends. Yes, you're right, but it doesn't save the fact that like Andy said earlier, the movie drags a little bit. Ocean's 11 is much. I would say what's
Where
more
does it drag?
entertaining.
Where does it drag
What's one
for
more,
you?
how about this? We'll take it on this. Where's it drag? I told you. The
you-
Amy Adams story.
If you're thinking the Amy Adams story, you're also forgetting the part where when they're at the house with Martin Sheen and they're having the wedding party, and then they fucking come in the front door while he's upstairs frantically shoving suitcases filled with cash. He's stuffing it.
Get to that faster.
She walks.
Get to that
She
faster.
walks into
Yeah.
the. No, but that's what makes it so great. Is like it looks like in that part of the movie they're tricking you into thinking that he's getting out of the game because he actually passes the bar and then he's stuffing the cash into it. She walks in. He has to not only be like, we got to get the fuck out of here, but he's got to be like, this is who I am. This is my real identity. He has a full moment of being transparent. He's the first person he ever tells what he really does for a living, what his real name is. He's like, you got to leave with me right now or I'll meet you in 2 days. And then he fucking goes out the window while they're like coming up, while they're walking around the party. That anxiety when you're watching that scene is incredible.
It's a great scene. But what I'm saying, they don't trick you thinking that he's gonna. You're just waiting for them to catch up with him there.
And then the fucking money is, the way that's
It's a
shot
great
too.
shot.
The money
Great
is
shot.
flying
Yeah.
out the window. I think it's just. Again, like I said, it's the thing. My biggest argument is that Ocean's 11 is a pop song, so it hits the things you want. It's catchy.
We haven't convinced you that it's not. That it's a little bit more higher upper echelon.
It's not just a Hollywood blockbuster. I'll say that. Again, I still think.
Especially since when you add Soderbergh to it, it's not a pop song with Soderbergh.
I just looked. Catch Me If You Can, 2 hours and 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Long movie.
Too long. Too long.
mean,
for
but,
them.
Ocean's
That should have
11,
been 2 hours.
148.
Again,
Perfect.
but again, that's appealing
that's-
to the
we're
masses.
talking
That's
about
like
the
saying,
dragging.
So are you
Really, to the
discounting
masses, it's
Goodfellas
called-
because it's long? Are you saying Casino is not a good movie
It's
because
no,
it's
but
3
it's about
hours?
pacing. If you can pace it,
You don't
fine.
think Casino and Goodfellas have moments that are like where you're like, we could probably cut
I
out.
think
Casino's
Goodfellas
too
is pretty
long.
close to perfect.
Casino, you
definitely,
can cut
but-
out 30 minutes of that movie.
Goodfellas is not too long at all.
I love Goodfellas
But-
is my number one of
all
all
right,
time.
let's do that then. Catch Me If You Can up against the timing of Goodfellas. Goodfellas has 3 acts in it.
Well, it's
when you're
Scorsese.
watching it, I know,
But yeah,
but still.
I take
All right,
Scorsese over.
Spielberg.
I
It's
take,
like-
but I know, but I take Scorsese over Spielberg any day of the week.
But it doesn't matter. They're both legends.
Yeah, world-class
So,
But then it
world-class
becomes down to
directors.
preference.
So what happens is this. That's my point, Mike. My point is this. Spielberg should have known better to make it 20 minutes less. He should have known it. He could have done that easily. A lot of that fat could have been cut. And when you have a record like Spielberg has, you're held up to a different standard. So he should have known that. Even Soderbergh.
Well, and that happens with biopics. You want to kind of stick as true to the story, and that means a lot of those movies are going to be longer than a regular good old-fashioned heist movie where the pacing is beautiful. It moves along. It doesn't dip in any
so
spot.
that's the
They're
advantage,
building towards
but-
something, and they're building toward the big score.
Right, but that's also, like I said, that's why this is a hard comparison, because one is like a heist, like
it's
action,
definitely
like
hard.
pace movie. The other one is like it's like a character movie. It's a biopic.
This is why
so
we have
it's
this.
a slow burn, and once it gets there, like all those little scenes where he almost gets caught, it's like your fucking heart is. To me, at the moments of the, like I said, the emotional peaks, whether it's the sadness or the anxiety or like the holy fuck ripping your hair out scenes, I think there's more of those in Catch Me If You Can than anything. I think in Ocean's 11, you're watching that going, that's fucking cool. That's super cool. I love how they fucking trick that security guard.
I can't say I was like riddled with anxiety or like on the edge of my seat.
Even when she's outside the airport and she's supposed to meet up with
wouldn't
them,
say I was
Leonardo
like,
DiCaprio, they swarm on the wrong car. They pay a guy to fucking dress as Leonardo DiCaprio. All of that.
You feel you're like, oh, that's. I feel sad for Amy Adams more than anything.
Again, you feel sad.
A ton of cool scenes, but your interest runs out. Like when you get to certain parts of it, even towards the end, by the end of that movie, you're not like, wow, it really buttoned itself up really well. And you don't think that. And I know it's a biopic, but they've done it before with biopics. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not sitting there going, wow, this was a great package. With Ocean's 11, you're like, this is a great package. Even if it is a heist movie and it's more fun. Movies their editing is a thing. There is a thing to it. There was a talent to it. So, and also the goal, probably the goal of both of them, but definitely you have Spielberg and you have DiCaprio. The goal of that movie was like Best Picture. That's a Best Picture contender.
Right.
And they missed the mark. And then everybody reacted
year?
accordingly.
Can we find out what won that year
2002,
instead?
I want to say. I have to look it up.
He might have it in front of him. Alex.
But that's the other thing too. When you think about like that's almost like there's some of those movies that you watch like a movie like Blow that's supposed to be one of those biopics where you watch that and then at the end of it you're like, oh fuck, I didn't want to.
2002.
No, but
A Beautiful Mind.
okay. A Beautiful Mind. Again, that's another movie where talk about a long movie. That was another movie where like I could have. That's Fight Club in
I don't
3
think Beautiful
hours,
Mind's
pretty
that
much.
good.
But yeah, I thought that was overrated. But when you watch Blow, you're like, oh, okay. At the end of it, you're like, oh, that sucks. He kind of lost everything. But like, I kind of would like if I was like Johnny Depp, I'd be like, I would probably still lose everything in order to live that life that he led for as long as he did. With Leonardo DiCaprio, you're like, he is constantly Catch Me If You Can. By the end of that
Looking over
movie,
his shoulder.
it's like his dad's dead. He's going to jail. He has nothing. He has no one. He's broken the hearts of like so many different women. The only person that he loves and that he's wanted to leave and get out. You realize he's just like a fucking young kid who went down the wrong path too early and then got in way too deep and couldn't get out of it and just kept compiling more and more shit.
yeah, but then it sums itself. It wraps itself up.
But then it's like, then he goes back to the house. It's sad. Then he ends up working just to get out of prison earlier and stuff like that. And the fact that they actually became friends, I think, is a pretty. I would say that's a cheesy thing, but if it really happened in real life, then
I think
that's
it really
pretty
happened
cool.
in real life, and that's cool. And don't get me wrong, it's still a good movie. But I'm saying the problems it has is the problem that it has. Yes, on the other side, we can't fault Ocean's 11 for being just more fun than Catch Me If You Can, because to be honest, it was trying to be fun as well.
Right.
So it's like, so which one is it? Is it a gritty, dramatic biopic, or is it also like you're like, oh, these funny scenes, and it's like, yeah, you can have both, but when you have both and they're not like properly dispersed and they're not like. It's just don't get me wrong, man. We're talking about like we're splitting hairs here.
Right.
When
Yeah.
you're talking about like
This is what we do.
Still, yeah.
But I love. No, I'm saying I loved it. And my other,
They're both great movies.
Right.
But what I'm saying is when I'm talking about like I said, the goal of that movie was Best Picture, and guess what? It didn't get nominated and it didn't win. So when that happens, there's a collective response to something that people know. There's like almost like you can't put it into words. Like you missed the mark on that one.
but they
And,
also
like,
went up
bit.
against A Beautiful Mind, which is supposed to be like.
Well, it
this
wasn't even
fucking-
nominated. It wasn't even nominated.
Right, but again, I also, like I said, you also look at so like Tom Hanks's character in that, right? He gets I love his character as like just like kind of its own individual part of the movie where he's like this he's this like guy who's obsessed with work, doesn't get along with his coworkers. He has you have those heart-wrenching scenes where it's like him and Leonardo DiCaprio like talking on the phone. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio is alone
it's a more
on
dramatic
Christmas,
picture, of
and
course.
now Tom Hanks is alone because of his work. He's got a wife and a kid that he doesn't get to see because
there's
it's like
drama. We get it.
Yeah, to me it's way emotionally deeper, and I feel like everything
of
on
course, it's emotionally
Ocean's
deeper.
11 is. I feel like everything is very surface
You're not
level.
going for emotional deepness.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what this movie excels at. You're talking about like a roller coaster,
Right, but
versus
the acceleration of the heist movie is done perfectly in Ocean's 11.
Because it's an
Whereas,
hour
like, I've
and
seen a lot of
change.
stories like Catch Me If You Can with what you're talking about emotionally. You know, with the dad and the divorced parents.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But that's also a biopic. Like it's not like
It is a
cliche
biopic,
writing.
but I
It's
don't
like-
need that much in a con man movie. I want to watch the con man stuff more than the scenes with his dad or like his
That's
French
like the
mom.
first half hour, and then immediately it goes into they do a heist with his dad. The thing with this fell right off your neck, the necklace thing, which he was going to buy a gift for his mom. That was like the first. That was one of the first scenes of the movie.
I think
All right.
I think what you have to boil it down to is which one achieved its goal better.
Flip test.
You flip. Do you want to do a flip test?
Wait, what is it? What is it? Does the producer get a vote?
Well, that's
Kinda.
what I wanted to see because we didn't have an objective person for this one. So literally, he was on your side. I want to see if we changed Alex's mind at all. If you were listening,
Not at all.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
It's on
in here.
fucking Facebook. in
yeah, I
there.
thought we had some really good points.
Absolutely.
I really do.
And I'll tell you this. Ocean's 11 is one of my all-time flip testiest flippers. I can't
Absolutely.
not watch it.
Exactly.
If
There
it's
you go.
I've seen it a billion times.
Catch Me If You Can has that no matter
See,
where it is.
If I see Catch Me If You Can, I go, yeah, been there. I have to watch.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm
I
the
love
same
when
way.
they. I love when they let him fly. I love when he fucking accidentally he goes on there and
You're
he just
just
starts.
naming scenes from the movie.
That's what I'm saying. Every scene, there's so many scenes when he goes on and he just is playing the fucking. He's just like lying. He just lies his way through. Oh, it's great. It's fucking great.
Well,
this
all
is
right.
a stalwart.
You write Star
Yeah,
Wars.
yeah.
Write in. Let us know who won here.
Yeah, we'll let
when
the
it came
fans.
to- Let the fans. Defendyourmovie@gmail.com. Tweet at us at
The Defenders.
Defend-Your-Movie.
Good fan name.
Oh, the Defenders.
Defenders.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Oh, nice, buddy. Hey, all you Defenders out there, let us know.
Yeah.
We're using that right away.
There's gonna be t-shirts available next week.
The Defenders. Let us know what you think. At Defend Your Movie on Twitter and defendyourmovie@gmail.com. Mike, thank you for doing this, man. What would you
Thanks,
like to
Mike.
plug,
This
my
This is
friend?
great. Thank you guys for having me. MikeFeeneyComedy.com, at I am Mike Feeney on all social media. And just please listen to my podcast. I do a storytelling podcast with Mike Cannon called Irish Goodbye. It's a good time, so check it out. You hear
And-
me yell and drink a lot in that. So.
Great.
Very good. Andy?
You can always find me at Andy Fiore, and you can check out my tour dates at andyfiore.com. I can't remember my dates. Nothing really on the road until January, Mohegan Sun. So come out then
Awesome.
if you want to gamble.
I'm at Shawnee Time on Instagram and Twitter, and also if you're in Indy, I am there right now. As you're hearing this, I am there
Nice.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday of the weekend that we're in right now. So come check me out. It's in Crackers in Indianapolis. I think it's Crackers Comedy online. And also, besides that, I'll be at... Actually, I'll say this one, too. On the 13th, I'll be at Philly at Helium. I'll be doing a one-off
Nice.
Thursday
Nice.
night show. So come check that out. And we're at Showbiz Studios. So check out their YouTube page, also their iTunes page, where you can check out our podcast and also a list of all the other awesome Showbiz Studios podcasts that are run by a bunch of our friends. So thank you so much for listening. And Defenders, we'll see you next week. We love you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
There's a time